Hey everyone, happy Sunday. All right, so big one today. Figured I'd go all out and try to do something kind of from my childhood. I don't do this very often. It's kind of labor intensive, plus makes you, you have to simmer the sauce for a few hours. So, you know, in the old days, my grandmother used to have us up on Sundays and make fresh pasta and spaghetti sauce. She would throw oxtail in it. I wish I could find it. I know Wise's used to have it, but I haven't seen it for a while. And a big pot of Italian wedding soup sometimes. And we would go up and spend the day and just eat it at Man Benedetto's. And this kind of reminds me of going back to that time. And I don't use one of them extruder machines. I also don't use what my grandmother used to use. My grandmother had a apparatus that looked like a harp and had strings in it, and she would do the dough and then put the roll over it and it would cut the pasta. And I don't have that. Although I believe it's still in the basement of my dad's house, my mom and dad's house in Coltmont. I'm pretty sure it's still there. And anyway, and then what I have is actually just a hand cranked machine where you make the sheets and then put the sheets through. And I use the fettuccine crunch on mine, or fettuccine width on mine cutting tool. Okay, so we're going to do this, the pasta first, so we can get that in the fridge to rest, because that has to rest. So I have my handy dandy Ninja. We do this in a food processor, works perfectly fine. I'm going to use 4 eggs, and you use the metal blade attachment. You do not need to put your dough attachment in here. If you have one, don't need it. And we're going to start with 4 eggs. Okay, so there's 4 eggs in here. And then in this bowl I have 2 1/2 cups of all-purpose white flour, a 1/2 cup of semolina flour. If you can't find this in the store, you can get it out, if you're local to this area, Cresthaven Farm Market. That's where I got this, about $4 for that big thing. And a tablespoon or a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we're going to take these eggs, we're going to crack these eggs one at a time and put them in the food processor. All right, now we're going to whip these until they're smooth. Almost dog, almost got an eggshell. Smooth and frosty, okay, or frothy. So give me a second to do that. That should be perfect. And it is. Nice and smooth, well mixed together. Now what we're going to do is we don't want to add this all at once because it's going to ball up your works. So you want to take this 1 cupful at a time. And I mix this all together in a bowl. So roughly a cup at a time. And just put that in. And then after each addition, we're going to blend that just to get it blended together. Just want to get it started, see it start to come together a little bit. So that was my first cup, second cup, and my third cup. Last but not least, we're going to put in the rest. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to let this go and process, and you'll see, if you can see the Ninja, which I'll try to center a little bit. As this goes along, you're going to see that dough that's stuck to the side start coming off, and it's going to form a ball. And that's when it's done. And then we're going to knead this a little bit. And then that's it. Then we put that in the fridge, and we let that go for an hour or so, but In this case, it's going to be 2 because we got sauce to make, and the sauce is from scratch as well. So big days here. Okay, so let me get this and watch this here, and maybe you can see the dough come together. Check this. All right, so that's too dry, obviously. This wasn't coming together very well. So what we're going to do, again, this is not a very humid day here, so we're going to kind of bring that down a little bit. We're going to turn it on and give it a little bit more time, just to see if it'll come together. If not, then you just add water, and it all comes together anyway. Here it's starting to slow down a little bit. That's a good thing. Tablespoon at a time. I think we have pasta dough. And indeed we do. It's coming together. You can see it's like a dough ball. It falls right off of the blades. So There we go. Now this Ninja here is going to do double duty. So we're going to wash this because we're going to need a little later. So when I'm off camera with you guys, I'm going to do a little housekeeping. Now you need to knead. So put a little dough out here. Dough, that's flour. And put all of your dough out here. Okay, and you see it came right out, nothing stuck. So you have your dough ball. Okay, now what you want to do with this is just basically knead this sucker for about 5 minutes. So about 253, it'll be about 258, give or take. Want it to come together nice. Get a little gluten build up in it. We're not making a bread, but we are making a noodle. So get everything incorporated nicely down through there. This is where I wish I had a stand mixer. I'm being ignored. So one day, we do things a little primitive sometimes here. So, and this is like an homage to our grandparents anyway. If they could see the things that we use today for cooking, I believe they would probably be amazed, to say the least. I think they would really enjoy it. I mean, could you imagine them with a microwave, where you just throw something in the microwave for 30 seconds? Well, first of all, that would probably be sacrilege because it's not made from scratch. So, you know, gotta have stuff made from scratch. And I'm telling you, you can use this pasta dough, even if you just want to use egg noodles, you can use this pasta dough recipe. If you have a hand crank machine like I do, you can just run it through to get the sheets to the thickness that you want and use them for lasagna noodles. I've done that before. You can really get creative and make homemade ricotta cheese. That's another show. It's not hard. Milk, vinegar, and heat. And basically that's all there is to it, to make ricotta. Cheesecloth, yeah, stuff to drain. So we're going along here, trying to kill 5 minutes. And I've killed 2. So we're still in good shape. Had a few people with me. Oh, Amy was on, not anymore. Kim Burkheiser was on. So hopefully everybody will watch this or get a chance to watch it later. I think I'm just going to do 2 today. This one, and this is going to be like a 2-parter kind of, because I'm making the dough, and then I'm going to make the sauce as well. Okay, so just turn the dough over on itself, turn it every so often, just to build it up. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Got some stuff done yesterday. Went out, got our plants. Got my vegetables for the front porch and the deck, and the herbs. Got some basil, chives, oregano, basil, chives, oregano, rosemary. And then I got Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, Anaheim chilies, orange peppers, I mean. And I think that's it. I think that was the extent of what I have. Hi, Lori. So we're getting there. Again, this is like an homage to my man Benedetto. I can imagine her in her kitchen. Not an island like this. You have to see the kitchens. The kitchen was probably as big as some people's pantries. And they did all their work on the kitchen table or on a very small counter space table. But boy, the rewards were just great. And hopefully this will be too. Okay, so you really want to just almost work this. It's almost done. It's been about 4.5 minutes now. So I think I'm good with my kneading. I don't think it needs any more kneading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this into a ball. Okay, work that into a ball, and then we're going to just make that a disc. I'm going to get it a little thin because when we start feeding it through the machine, you want it to be the right width to go through the machine, or to, not too thick so it doesn't start doubling over on itself. And I believe that's going to cut it. So there's our pasta dough, all ready to go. What it need now is a little plastic wrap, which is right here. My goodie bag drawers. All right. That over to the side. And now we're going to let this rest. No yeast in it, obviously. We're not making bread. So it won't rise. You don't have to worry about that. But we do want it to get cool. You want to try to make this as airtight as possible, because if you put this in the fridge and there's just even a little crack, you're going to get hard dough, and nobody likes that. All right, I'm going to put this in the fridge right here. And I'm going to let that rest. Okay, part one's done. Pasta's all done. All I got to do when I'm ready is roll it out. Okay, folks, walk with me for part two. All right, part two. Okay, part two is the sauce. Okay. Do I have everything? No, I need olive oil. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with just a Dutch oven. Olive oil. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1,001, 1,002, give or take. Why not just use the rest, because it's all empty anyway. So we're going to let that go. All right, so another dead Italian soldier. Okay, I'm going to turn this on to medium-high heat, and let that oil come up to temperature. And then what we're going to do is we are going to add, this is a whole white onion that I just diced. And you don't have to worry about things being the right size here. At the end of the sauce, when everything's said and done, I'm going to put this sucker in that Ninja that we were just using before and puree all together. So you don't have to worry. I mean, the garlic is crushed, which you'll just see. I didn't even dice it, or mince it, I should say. The onions are diced, but they're like a rough dice. They're not a small dice or medium dice. They're wherever the hell I cut it. And then we're going to add to this, once this comes up, we're going to saute the onion. We're going to add a big 28-ounce can of San Marzano tomatoes. Okay? That's important. These are a very good sauce tomato. I can find these at Wise's in central Pennsylvania. You can probably find them anywhere. They come from a specific area of Italy. So even though these say style, tells me they're not authentic, but they're as close as I'm going to get. Plus it says imported from Italy, so that's always important. But this is Delalo. Usually you just find these either in your ethnic aisle of your supermarket. Wise's just happens to have them in with the regular tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, whole tomatoes in a can. So you need a big 28-ounce can of that. You need a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. You need a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Then you're going to need parsley. You're going to need oregano. You're going to need basil. You're going to need chicken stock. You're going to need salt, sugar, and then again, I told you this is the crushed garlic. So that's pretty much up to heat. I'm going to get a few things out here that I need. 2 things that I need. And I am going to add these onions into this pot. This is it. It's always a good sign when you hear that. It means your pot's in good shape. All right, put that in there so I can rinse it. We're just going to saute this about 5 minutes. Okay. And I've used this sauce before, and again, like anything else, palette. I use a base sauce recipe here that I found, and then I'll improvise. Some days I'll put other stuff in it just to flavor it up. You want to put mushroom in yours? Put mushroom in it. You want to put meat in yours to make a meat sauce, or that's almost like a bolognese to tell you the truth. Then you put meat in it. But I use a base sauce. This one here we're doing today is just going to be a plain old, good old-fashioned spaghetti sauce with basil, oregano, and since it's still not fresh here in Pennsylvania, we are using the dried variety. However, I did buy a basil plant yesterday, so fresh basil will be coming as soon as I get them planted. All right, so this is coming along nicely. And then what you want to do is once we have all of this in here and simmering, then what you want to do is you really just want to turn the heat back, leave it uncovered, low simmer. You don't want it bubbling over or anything, bubbling and spitting. So a low simmer, which I will take it down to here shortly because again, this is an electric stove, so I want low heat. I got to think about low heat 5 minutes before I need the low heat. So this is coming nicely, and we're just sweating these onions out just to get the onions to give up a little bit of their flavor. And you can smell them. They smell really good. I happen to be using, for this one, it says a white onion. You could use, this is a Vidalia, or you could just use a white Spanish onion. Any good sweet onion. I would not recommend a cooking onion for this. I'm not a big fan of yellow cooking onions, although I made some with them the other day and they tasted really good. And I can't remember what it was, but they came out really good with the yellow onion. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving the yellow onion a bad rap here, but this is Vidalia because it's what was in the fridge. Okay, folks, don't always go out and just buy special stuff that you need. I mean, I don't know, some people, I usually have tomato sauce in my pantry because I use it for a few things, so I know it's there. Always have spices on hand, and herbs, in this case, herbs. Always have fresh garlic on hand. This was the one thing I had to go out and buy special, were the San Marzano tomatoes. I was smart this time though, and I bought a second can, so if I want to do this again, or we want to do something else with the spaghetti sauce and a homemade sauce, I have another can of this. So that's where everything comes in. And this is about ready for the garlic. Okay, while that's doing its thing, I'm going to do a little opening. Okay, get the handy dandy can opener. We're going to open the tomato paste and the tomato sauce real quick. Tomato paste. And tomato sauce. Alrighty then. So, take a little knife here. Just lift them up. Be careful not to cut yourself on them. Speaking from experience on that one, folks, not going to lie to you. I've cut myself on these tops more than once. Okay, and then we're going just to delid the San Marzano tomatoes. Oh, they look good. Okay, throw that one away. I don't want anybody to get cut on that. All right, so these have given up a good amount of they're getting tender is what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, they're softening up nicely. And again, they will also soften up when when it's cooking. So, all right. Now we're going to turn this heat down just about to between medium, low. Almost again, dogs. You see here, I have 5 cloves of garlic, crushed garlic. All I did with these is I put them on a cutting board, hit them with the knife, put the knife on a flat end, hit the flat end on it, peeled it, put the flat end on it again, and hit it again. Just crushed them, just to open them up and let them release some of the oils. Okay, and again, don't worry about cutting them, chopping them, anything. You even have that little hard thing on the end, don't worry about it. It's all going to get processed. Throw them in. And that's, leave them in there, saute maybe 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. You don't want them to burn, so boy, does that smell good already. I'm sorry, onions, garlic, and green peppers, onions and green peppers. If you don't walk into a house and if you don't smell that, if your mom or wife or husband are cooking and you don't smell any of this, telling you, you're missing it. You are missing it. If you don't get hungry, I don't know. I just don't know. All right, so that's been there long enough. Now we just add everything. We're gonna add our San Marzano tomatoes, and I bought the petite dice. Okay, you can buy a whole if you like. That's your preference. The can of tomato sauce. Pour that in. Then we're going to put in the tomato paste. Very important. Don't cook with it very often. As you can see, I don't, because I used the wrong vessel to get it out. Sometimes a good old-fashioned spoon just comes in handy here. You want to put your tomato paste in here. This takes a little bit because, again, it's paste, it's not sauce, it's stuck to the can, all that other good happy stuff. All right, so push that lid down again so nobody gets impaled on it. Put that in there. A little hand wash in there. And then we're going to put in a tablespoon of sugar. Sugar is going to help cut the acid of the tomato, but I got another trick for that as well, so we'll get to that, unless you've already seen it. So we're going to use a tablespoon of sugar. And I don't have fennel seeds, again, I don't have it, so I'm not using it. Oregano, a tablespoon of oregano. So here's my tablespoon. About a tablespoon. Maybe more, maybe less. It was more, trust me. Then we're gonna go salt. We'll have a teaspoon of salt, kosher. And quarter teaspoon of ground black pepper. Okay, quarter teaspoon ground black pepper. Half a cup of fresh basil. I don't have fresh basil. We've gone over that. So when you do dry to fresh, you have it. You just put it in half. So if it's a half a cup of fresh basil, I'm going to go quarter cup of dried basil. Why? Because the dried herb is much more potent than a fresh herb. You get the same flavor, just got to use less. So half a cup of basil. I'm sorry, quarter cup of basil. And then last but not least, it says quarter cup of chopped parsley. I don't have a quarter cup of I don't have fresh parsley. I'm going to use dried parsley, but I also don't have 1/8 of a cup, so I'm going to use the same quarter cup and just go about half on that, because I know cooking is easy and math is hard, but I believe half of a quarter is 1/8. And then what we need to do is chicken stock. This is what brings a lot of homemadeness to the party. So you want to do like a half a cup of this. You can go a little more if you want. I just did, which is fine. You're gonna, as this cooks down, you don't want to add water. You want to add more chicken stock if you want it. And then what we're going to do is just mix that all together. Okay. And until we puree it, here's your sauce, okay? Last but not least, well actually it is least, last ingredient, carrot. A lot of acid in here, okay? Lots of acid. So I'm going to take this carrot and put it in here, and that's going to act almost like a sponge. The sweetness of the carrot is going to help counteract the acidity of the sauce. And that's it, folks. Now what you do is you let that come up to a simmer. You can turn the heat up just a little bit, just till it starts to bubble. and then turn it down and just let it simmer away in its own little way and its own little juices here for, I'd say 2 hours would be good. And then we puree it and we eat. One thing I I cheated. They had this really nice bread today when we were out. It was hot, it was still hot. So I did not make my own bread. It's still fresh though. But I'm gonna make garlic bread out of this a little later. Not sure the meatballs yet. Okay, this is starting to bubble, so I just want to turn that down, and that's it. So I'm done. I will be back in about maybe an hour or so to show you how the pasta comes together, because we want to get that through the hand crank, make sheets out of it. I'll probably do a few before I bring you guys back in, because you don't need me to watch me do that entire thing of dough. Okay, that gets a little monotonous, and I don't want you to be bored. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the first video of the making of the dough for the pasta and the homemade sauce, which is now doing its little bubbly thing here and going to be nice and very well rounded. Okay, so I will see you guys in about an hour. Take care, and yeah, just enjoy it.